He'll sit back in just a minute.
All right, I think we're live.
Good evening, everyone. How has everyone's day been?
What's up? We're live? Working?
I think we're live. We're definitely on here. So today we're talking about eat fat, get fit. What was the actual question that someone asked last week?
Basically, how do you determine how much dietary fat you need to consume in order to lose body fat while still building muscle or not sacrificing muscle gain? So let's talk about that. I don't know if this is working though. Yeah, it is working now.
Okay, all right. Cool.
So the question is that we're going to start with, how do you know how much dietary fat to consume if your goal is to lose body fat while not sacrificing muscle gain or muscle wasting or something of that nature? So when you're in a ketogenic state, you're obviously going to be eating. Actually, do you want to start with this one?
No, you go.
Okay. When you're in a ketogenic state, you're eating ketogenic foods. You're probably going to be eating higher fat than if you're eating a traditional bodybuilding bro diet or flexible dieting, if it fits your macros, anything of that nature. So how do you know what to do with your fat macro manipulations? Because a lot of people, even in the keto space, are of the mindset that, look, if you were trying to lose body fat, you need to eat less dietary fat. I've always argued that, and here's why. Dietary fat is your source of energy when you're in a ketogenic state. Fat and ketones are where you're getting your energy. You're either getting them from your stored body fat, you're getting them from the fat you consume, you're getting them from the burning of that fat and the output of ketones. So if you minimize your fat intake, then you're going to be minimizing your energy availability, because protein is not a very good substrate for energy. You're either getting energy from carbs or from fat. Ideally, you're not getting it from carbs. So if your goal is to lose fat and you've got a lot of fat to lose, a lot of adipose tissue, it makes sense that you would not need to consume that much fat. However, if you're not consuming that fat, you're probably going to see a dip in energy, because it's not like a one-to-one trade-off. If you got a whole bunch of body fat weight to lose, but you just stop consuming any fat, you're probably eventually going to see a dip in energy, especially when calories are low. If you're in the context of a caloric deficit, then you want to maintain as much energy as possible, because you're already going to be running on fumes from the low calories. So calories are fuel. Calories is energy. You don't want to be walking around like a zombie. So what I would recommend... So funny.
I'm just reading people's comments.
So what I would recommend doing is make sure your overall calories are in a deficit if you're trying to prioritize fat loss, but make sure that a lot of those calories are coming from good quality dietary sources that are high in fat, because then your energy is going to stay elevated even while calories are low. That's a huge thing that a lot of people in the traditional dieting space definitely don't get at all. But even in their own ketogenic circles, like when I lost a whole bunch of body fat for this last contest prep, my dietary fat stayed very high relative to protein and carbs. Carbs are obviously very low. Protein started out lower, got elevated, and then started to drop off there towards the end. But my dietary fat ratio was high pretty much throughout. I don't think I ever went below 68% of my calories coming from fat. I felt better when it was more like 78% of my calories coming from fat. So don't ever feel like you have to drop off your fat percentage tremendously and that's gonna inhibit your ability to lose body fat. I don't know where this came from, but you can keep dietary fat high if everything else is dialed in, have more energy, and still lose body fat, no problemo.
Yeah, I think that I mean, if you take a step back and you look at it from a point of view and a perspective of maybe not having any idea anything about nutrition, and you're like, oh yeah, why would I eat fat if I'm trying to lose the fat, because I already have all the fat? And that is a lot of people's argument, is if you have a lot of fat, you don't need to eat a lot of fat. But where is your energy coming from? That's a miserable way to, I think it's personally miserable to go super low fat and super high in your protein or carbs, because it's just you just feel like junk. And
thoughts by Crystal. It's just blue.
It's just ugh. I mean, honestly, you just kind of feel junky. And some people can go super high protein and they feel amazing. But I bet you, if you had a couple days with a lot of fat, they're going to feel like their energy is through the roof because they just have no idea because their protein has been so high that they've gotten used to it. But give them a bunch of fat and their body's just going to be like boom, 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 because it doesn't have to go through this really hard process of getting their energy through their protein.
Here's a good question from Brewing Keto on Instagram. What do you think of doing one day of lower fat, higher protein, and then the other 6 days doing really high fat, knowing that energy will be lower? So a lot of people will do like fat cycling, protein cycling. I'm all for that in the context of, so like, look at your averages, see what you're averaging over the course of the week. When I'm in a contest prep, I don't particularly like to base my numbers, my day-to-day input and intake off of what the week is averaging. I like to do things like with a day-to-day plan and then hit those on the tee. That way I feel like human nature is such that if you overconsume calories one day, but then you got this in the back of your mind, like, hey, I'm going to eat less next week, so the average is going to be fine. That to me is like a negative psychological relationship with food. So I don't like to do that. However, if you're doing it from like a metabolic standpoint, having a day that's higher fat, that's kind of similar to what I do with my ketogenic refeed day. Have a day that's very high fat. Now that's a higher fat, higher calorie day and not just a high protein day. But from the context of mixing it up, if you're doing more of like a sustainability standpoint, I think that would be totally fine. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that in the context of a contest prep. Or if you're really trying to dial in losing body fat. What's up? What about eating raw eggs and meat? You can definitely eat raw eggs and meat if it's coming from clean sources, but I kind of like my stuff cooked.
You will never find me eating a raw egg or raw meat. I would throw up.
Is it necessary to do all grass-fed? No, you don't have to do all grass-fed. Grass-fed's got a better hormonal profile, a better omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, but that is minuscule in comparison to like the benefits of just eating keto in general from grain-fed sources over carb-fed sources, for instance, or carb sources of food. So don't get hung up on grain-fed versus grass-fed that it costs you sleep at night, basically. All right, let me get some questions over here. Hello from the Savage City. Check this comment out. Got my almond coconut brick. It's delicious, but the peanut butter is still number one for me. Coconut almond, my second favorite. Classic keto brick is close third. I had the OG brick today, and it was so good.
Yeah, I'd still say that mocha is my favorite, then peanut butter, then the almond. But a lot of people, I mean, I've stuck with mocha since the beginning, though.
Yeah. All right, what we got here? Abby says, my current protein intake is 90 grams, and I weigh 165. My macros are still 75 fat, 18 protein, and last time I did a body comp test, I was 23% body fat. Is this enough protein since I'm on keto? So again, kind of depends what your goal is. I don't know if you're trying to prioritize building muscle right now or trying to prioritize losing body fat. If you're in like a maintenance standpoint or if you're trying to build muscle, I definitely don't recommend your dietary protein intake being less than your lean tissue. Now, that's lean tissue weight, not total body weight. If you're in the depth of a prep or if you're trying to really ramp up your fat burning and you've been dieting for a while, then you can afford to have a little bit less protein than lean mass.
We have someone over here who's supposed to be attending a lecture but would rather listen to us.
You don't? Wait, here we go.
Day 9 on DSK. That's awesome.
You don't eat fat if you have fat on your body. That's counterproductive. I disagree completely. I don't know if you heard the earlier part of this or if you just came in, but I've lost all my body fat while eating very high dietary fat, and I feel and perform much better doing so.
I will say that in the last year, I've lost, almost 25 pounds of body fat while gaining muscle, and I've been eating plenty of fat. Yeah. It's just everyone has a difference of opinion. You can choose to get your energy a harder way and getting your energy source through protein, which is going to be a less efficient way of getting energy, or you can eat your energy source from fat.
Do you see keto bricks turning to a smaller size product that is easier to eat while on the go or traveling? Keto brick crumbs are delicious. It's honestly more expensive for us to try and make it into a smaller product, and that I don't want to make it more expensive for y'all, so it's going to be much more cost effective if we keep it higher and in total volume.
Does the new almond flavor taste like an almond joy?
I don't know. Say it does.
I don't know the last time I had an almond joy, but that is kind of. I mean, that's kind of what it's mimicking, I suppose. What is your ratio of monofat and polyfat versus saturated fat, and what's the source? I honestly don't track mine because I'm eating mostly the animal fats and then the keto bricks, and so I kind of know where my fat is.
The polyfats, that's mostly going to be found in like your higher, more highly processed vegetable oils, your canola oils, your linseed oils. I would try and avoid those. Monofats, you're going to get like avocado oil, olive oil. Those are all really good. Saturated fats coming from good quality meat sources. Those are all really good. Here's a good one. What about steaks on an open fire at a cabin with a bunch of friends on a pine tree farm on the Little Red River after fishing for bass? Matt Karpoff, my old college roommate. How are you, brother?
That's funny. I like this one. Is that the same wife? She looks much thinner.
She's the same wife. I've only had the one.
The same one.
Same one.
Thanks, though.
Keto Conduct says high protein. I don't know if that's a question, a comment, or concern. What do you mean, bro?
Hey, there was a time where you said that Robert would never take your protein high enough, which is incorrect.
I've got clients that have super high protein.
We were just talking about one.
Yesterday, I ate 350 grams of protein. I'm not the low protein guy, as some people would like to paint me in the picture of. I do what is right for the individual, whether that be high protein, high fat, low protein, low fat.
Equal protein, too fat?
Yeah, everybody's individual. I get the results. I do what's going to give you the results.
True.
So, boom.
He got me down in my competition. I can't say it's not good.
Yep.
Oh, goodness, I missed one. Oh, no. Have you tried going without tracking your macros for a bit, and how did you do it, if so?
For me or for you?
I don't know. Probably both. I don't know. I do go periods of times without like really tracking. However, I do, like I said in the last one, I track a minimum. So like I have a certain amount of protein that I try to hit, and I don't go below that. I hit a certain amount of fat, and I don't go below that. And then I hit an amount of carbs, and I don't go above that. So even though I'm not particularly tracking, I still like to know that I'm getting a minimum of protein, a minimum of fat, and then not going over any certain protein or carbs. Sorry.
Gerald says, hello from Cincinnati, Ohio. Still having good success measurement-wise, but weight still behind, but coming down. Well, definitely don't negate the measurements, because a lot of times your weight will plateau, but your measurements will keep changing. So track all that. Here we go. My challenge will be fat now with my gallbladder was removed yesterday. So a lot of people you could definitely still eat high dietary fat without the gallbladder. Your body has to get adapted to using and breaking down and fully utilizing that high fat. You may have to have a period of time where you're supplementing with some bile salts, but you can definitely adapt and use high dietary fat in the absence of a gallbladder.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is not eating too much fat at one time, because that's going to be really hard for your system to break down. So would you prioritize higher fat and lower the overall calories versus eating a high protein and the same calories?
Well, you're gonna lower calories either way. Like if you're having high protein or high fat, either is in the context of lowering your calories gradually over time. You're going to feel better, more than likely, all things equal, if your calories, like if you're having higher fat with X amount of calories versus higher protein with X amount of calories. Everybody's going to have a different threshold. Everybody's going to have a different ratio at which they feel optimal. But on average, if you're deeply adapted and your body's using fat for energy, you're going to have much more energy if your body's able to get that from fat, instead of having to convert protein to energy through gluconeogenesis, which is an inefficient process in the first place.
I would like to add specifically that If you're the type of person that is going to eat a higher amount of carbs on keto, if you're going to have keto junk food, keto snacks, things like that, your fat may not be as high because you are also eating a lot of carbs. Whether it's coming from sweeteners or fiber or whatever, you have to count all of those carbs. So if you're also eating all of that, then you might be eating a little bit higher protein because your carbs are so fat. So your fat and your carbs are both energy sources, but you need to get a certain amount of protein in. So if your am I making sense? If your carbs are going higher, your fat's probably going to be a little bit lower because you need to get in that protein as well. So if you're eating junk, if you're eating all of the keto breads and the pastries and the things, and that's who we're talking to, is the people who want to be like a little bit more strict and not go higher carbs, and that like we take the carbs really low so that we can take the fat really high is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Keto Conduct says, we love you guys. I can't wait to hang out after this shutdown is over.
For real, though.
Show.
I am pretty sad that I don't get to see everyone. That's like such a bummer.
Abby says, love the bricks. I have a hard time eating over 1,000 calories on a regular basis, and the bricks were the only fix that don't make me sick that I needed. Life, health, fitness game changer for me. Well, awesome. You definitely want to eat more than 1,000 calories in a day, though. I don't know if that's like per meal that you're talking, but
well, it seems like she's trying to get over, and the bricks are helpful. But I also used to have a struggle with getting in food just because of all my stomach stuff, and it was actually the bricks are one of the things that helped me to be able to increase my calories on a daily basis.
Matt says these two are absolutely phenomenal. They definitely know their stuff. Team Savage for life. Thanks, brother.
Thanks.
Do the sweeteners in the bricks cause stomach issues? We don't add any sweeteners to the bricks. There is a little bit of stevia in the protein that we use in the bricks, but it's pretty diluted, and there's not a whole lot of sweetener in the bricks. Like, the sweetness of it is diluted, which is good. I prefer it that way. We're not trying to make a snack bar. It's a performance bar, and I don't have any stomach issues at all.
I don't have any stomach issues with it either, but I would definitely try out, the stevia or the monk fruit if you do have a reaction to that. Everyone's body's going to be very different, but I haven't had anybody really say that they've had a reaction to those sweeteners that they didn't already have. I know like xylitol, erythritol, those things can cause stomach upset, but we don't use those. So hopefully most people will be good to go.
Keto 3 years, but I think I need some extra help for the last 20 to 25 pounds. So we are here to help.
So losing fat means eating high fat, 80% fat, 20% protein. So that's not exactly what we're saying. We do like the idea of higher fat ratio. Usually we'll start people off at 80% fat. Then you slowly increase the protein until you reach your protein threshold. While
your fat is decreasing. So calories are still dropping.
Yes. And so mine is going to be a lot higher than maybe, I'm having a hard time speaking today, guys.
You're having a hard time.
So, I feel like my protein, I can take a lot higher than a lot of females. And I don't know why that is. That's just my body. But I'm willing to take anyone's protein as high as it needs to be and their fat as low as it needs to be, as long as they're maintaining their energy, as long as they're feeling amazing, as long as their joints aren't hurting. Everyone's body's going to be so different. But what we do is we start the fat super high. And so you feel amazing for that little bit. And you know if you're starting to feel worse. And that's kind of when you stop the protein increase.
All right, here's a good one. Do you have any suggestions for women going through the change and stalling or gaining on keto? So is this change like menopausal change, or is this change like your pregnant change, or is this change like your monthly cycle?
Okay. Do you have any suggestions for women going through the change
and
change?
What is the change?
I think that it is that
Which
period
one?
Where you're going through menopause, maybe pre, maybe in the middle of it, maybe post.
All right. Yeah. I've never gone through menopause, but I will say this. I've talked at length about like different protein thresholds, different fat thresholds, different ratios that work really well with you. All of that is subject to change when you have a big change in your lifestyle, whether that's your training, your age, your gender isn't normally changing, but you never know these days. And
Sorry, that wasn't funny.
So that is something that could definitely be a contributing factor to a change in the ratio and the thresholds that your body has. So when something like that happens, you may respond better to a different fat ratio or a different protein ratio than you did 6 months ago before that change started happening. So that's when you got to just kind of like wipe the slate clean, reestablish baselines.
Can you sing a country song?
What's a good one here?
He can.
What's a good country song? And then Barbara, thank you for all that you both do in the keto community. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Well, you gotta sing it. The Long Black Train.
I don't know all the words to that.
I don't know.
I could sing "Devil Went Down to Georgia." I was singing that the other day.
Oh my goodness.
Charlie Daniels Band.
No.
Yeah, it's a good one. All right, so how do you know what your protein threshold is? You gradually increase protein until you start to see adverse effects.
Mm-hmm.
You don't bump up your protein from 100 grams to 150 grams overnight because you don't know where in that 50-gram window the change occurred. I like to do 1 week at a time, increase by like 5 grams at a time. That way you're getting a slow, gradual influx or a slow, gradual decrease depending on which direction you're going. And then you can kind of track metrics, track how you feel and perform, and figure out where that tipping point is.
I'm trying to do 0 carb, high fat. I love that. Love the peanut butter bricks. Thank you.
Oh, the change is menopause.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Robert doesn't.
That
Robert
makes more
doesn't
sense.
know. This situation is showing us Crystal's inner gangster. Oh, what did I do?
I don't know. Did you make a story about I saw something about grocery store gangsters, so I guess you made a story about the grocery store.
Is it grocery store gangster?
Did you say something about the grocery store earlier?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, in my story I did.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm talking about then.
Maybe. Tell me what you're talking about. When did I go gangster? I got in trouble at the grocery store, by the way.
Here we go. Hello from California. My birthday's on the 22nd. Any suggestions for keto cake or treat?
Happy birthday, first of all.
Happy birthday, first of all.
And for a keto treat, I've made Robert
dessert chaffles.
Oh, those are so good.
Those are pretty good.
So what I did was just did a regular chaffle recipe, which is generally like 1 egg to a half a cup of mozzarella cheese. But with mine, I added some stevia drops and some maple extract. You can kind of add whatever kind of extract you want. But I added a maple extract, and then we put melted keto brick on top. You can put like melted peanut butter. You can get some of the syrups that aren't too bad. Also, I've made brownies. There's a ton of like recipes. If you just type in keto cake, keto brownie, there's like Brandon's wife made Jackie. She made
pecan pies. The bomb diggity.
Yeah, she did make those, but I was talking about the brownie bites, the cheesecake brownie bites.
There's like so many
and they're so easy. Or we did a mug cake too. If you just want like a little cake, there's a peanut butter mug cake recipe on the Keto Brick website.
By the way, Kimberly, we got keto. I don't ever know how to pronounce these. Keto Chris with a Z. Happy early birthday, Kimberly Scheidt. We got some love here.
Aww.
Stress from the quarantine has gotten to me, and I need a fresh start. I'll be checking out the coaching soon. I need fresh eyes to help me reach my ultimate goal. Like, I'm not trying to ever, hard sell coaching by any means, and Crystal never is either. But having a different set of eyes from time to time, look at things, and just offer new feedback is really good.
Caloric surplus, ketogenic diet, lifting weight. Thanks for changing my life. How? It's just the ratios and what cut I should eat to lean out and lose body fat, trying higher protein like sirloin versus fatty ribeye, etc. I personally prefer leaner cuts. I prefer leaner meats like chicken and turkey because I'm weird, but then I add fat to it. The Keto Road. Hey, my family.
What's up, Keto Road?
Okay, thank you. What about men going through the change? That's hilarious.
I don't know. No comment. I'll get in trouble.
Yeah, I usually like it both ways. I feel like the only carnivore who actually likes skinless chicken or pork tenderloin.
Yeah, some people like that super lean stuff.
Me. The
Yeah.
super lean stuff.
Super lean stuff. Chris is like Frizz with a K. Chris is like Frizz with a K. That could be a country song.
I want to know what gangster side we're talking about.
Probably your stories. All right, here we go.
Gangster.
Here's a question. What's your take on slowing down metabolism if calories are low? Whether with keto or fasting, they say BMR doesn't decrease due to your body switching to fat for fuel. So calories dropping down will 100% slow your metabolism if done long enough. Anybody that argues that just does not know a thing about metabolism. My metabolism is slowed down right now, having gone through a contest prep in which I was in a caloric deficit for months. That's just part of it. It's how your body has evolved and adapted to survive. It's supposed to happen. You have to ramp that metabolism back up by having a properly formulated reverse diet. I truly have found that a ketogenic diet has much less of an adverse effect on your metabolism than other diets, and you're able to ramp that up with much fewer adverse effects when calories do start increasing.
Mm-hmm. I've been keto for 5 years and currently prepping for my first show this fall. I've lost 172 pounds, and I hate when everyone says you're so skinny just as much as I hated being called fat. Keep inspiring. I totally get that. I have not experienced that myself, but I have a lot of people that are very close to me that have gone through that same thing, and it's hard. It's hard being labeled as something. When someone calls me skinny, I get offended because I'm like, I need more muscle.
People call me skinny. I'm like, what you talking about, Willis?
And you know that they mean it as such a compliment, but it is sometimes hard because you're like, I don't know. I totally get that though.
I like the couples questions video y'all did, by the way. Keep doing
them. Yay! I'm so glad.
John says he enjoyed the band workouts Brandon put up.
Yes, he's awesome.
By the way, in case anybody did not know, we made the band mini course on 10% keto free for anybody that's stuck at home and needs band workouts.
Robert's gonna love this question.
Uh-oh.
When are you guys gonna have little ones?
All right, next question. Here we go. Thank you, sweet chaffle with peanut butter bricks melted in. Yeah, we melted half the peanut butter brick on top of the chaffle, and it was the bomb diggity.
With the kids thing though, we don't really know. We're kind of just letting life do its thing, and we'll let you guys know when the time's right.
Neon Moon by Brooks and Dunn. That's a good one. I don't have like the super low voice though.
Yeah, we're gonna pass that.
I like singing some Jason Aldean stuff. You know, like Back Road. That's a good one.
Love everything you stand for, brother. Thinking about going down to about 8 or 9%. Do not want to lose neck size. Will neck size thickness reduction be inevitable?
So you're going to lose a little bit in like your face. You're going to lose a little bit in your neck simply from water and inflammation and just stuff. You know, like it's weird, but you're going to lose a little bit of that from like a circumference standpoint when you start dropping calories and you clean up your diet a little bit. But it's not necessarily a drop in muscle at all. So I don't know why you want to have a great big neck size unless you have shirts like this. I hate that my shirts. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Haven't washed this shirt yet. That probably has something to do with it. But if it's from like a performance standpoint and you're trying to like keep your neck PRs going, you know, you don't have to worry about that so much.
Maybe they do neck
a little
wrestling.
bit of circumference.
I don't know. How do you guys feel about keto carnivore? I think it's wonderful. That's honestly mostly what Robert does.
Plus bricks.
I wouldn't call myself that as much, just because I do enjoy some other things, but I think it's great. I think it's really great.
Are y'all taking class for coaching right now during the quarantine? We are indeed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine's not on a website right now, so you would just have to email me, but yes.
My thoughts exactly on the kid question. What did we say? What was our final answer?
I said that we're just kind of like seeing where life takes us, and we'll let them know when the time's right.
You can't put them back in. We can try, but it would be rough.
You know, people try and talk me out of it all the time. They're like, oh, you don't even know kids, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I have a million nieces and nephews, like, literally. So.
Neon Moon is the Jamie Jam. Where's
the Jammy Jam?
Jammy Jam? Jam, Jimmy Jam Jam.
What?
Yeah.
So, it's past our time. Should we start making these longer?
I don't know. We have pretty good retention rate. I like this new setup on YouTube.
I do too. It looks so much better.
Way better. And I like the questions pop up and everything. But we need another question for next
that's
week.
That's not a question, but it's so cute.
What?
You guys are going to be the cutest parents.
Well, thank you.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, we're gonna have some cute kids when it happens, but there's no kids in the oven.
I was just talking about in the oven. I was just talking to. Okay, I just thought of it. Come back to that, and I was thinking.
Yeah, I was thinking with
because
keto,
I'm so hot.
No, I was thinking we need to come back before that because people say you got a bun in the oven, but we're not making any buns because we're not eating carbs. So what's a keto equivalent to you got a bun in the oven?
I don't know.
You got bacon on the pan. That wouldn't be good.
No, because the reason you say a bun in the oven is because it takes time to bake. You gotta bake it.
You got a mug cake in the microwave.
Oh gosh. 1 minute mug cake.
1 minute mug cake. All right, y'all. What's the question for next week? We need brick in the oven. Hey, I like it.
Brick in the oven. What experience do you have with thyroid and keto guys? Ooh, that's a good one.
Question. Is that the question for next week?
Oh, maybe, or if you have an answer now.
I don't know if that was designed to be the question for next week, but
Pit in the avocado.
Pit in the avocado.
Mug cake in a cup.
Hey, I will answer that question about thyroid in males. However, I'm going to wait intentionally until next week because I just got blood work done, and one of those was a thyroid panel, and I'm going to be able to offer more wisdom after I get those results back. So hopefully they'll be in by next week.
They said that when the quarantine's over, we can go play with Baby Berry. We actually got to see them right before everyone got quarantined. So he is so cute.
Mike Rayburn's got a question. Excuse me. Ways to break through plateaus. That sounds like a good one as well.
Ways to break through plateaus.
Brisket in the smoker. Roast in the slow cooker.
Oh, you guys are so good at this.
Neat as a topic. That's a good one too.
Oh yeah. I like that. Thyroid health and keto for next week.
All right, so we'll talk about thyroid health and we'll talk about bust through plateaus.
We should write these down.
All right, we'll write them down. All right, y'all. We love you. Much love. Take care, toodaloo, and ta-ta.
Bye, guys.